Welcome back to Open House with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Legion Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates, a greater Rochester real estate podcast. This is episode 164. Mark, how are you today?
I am good, bud. How you doing?
Doing really well.
Yeah. Why is that?
I had a little extra time on my hands this morning. Oh. I was supposed to chaperone my oldest son Mason's field trip to the Pick and Patch, which is out in Geneva. So it's like a Wickham Farms type deal for kids. So I got roped into that. My wife said, we should definitely chaperone. And then it became I was going to chaperone. But the weather, I should have seen it coming. That's my fault. I should have seen it coming. The weather, though, was not great. So they've canceled it, moving it to Friday.
Oh, there we go.
So I was expecting coming in here today being a muddy mess. But no.
Wouldn't have been the first time.
True. That's fair. That's fair. Fair.
Oh, that's good. So you had a little bit of extra time on your hand.
You had a little experience with nature this weekend.
Oh, my God. You were so nice. God, that was nice of you. Yes. So we got our place down in Hammondsport. We got 28 acres. And I explored a good bit of that property with Lily.
Explored or got lost?
Oh, well, I know one can explore and get lost.
At the same time, sure.
I explored and got lost, and it was great. I got lost in the woods, and I found myself literally like a quarter of a mile from the house, and I had to go through a gully and walked through a vineyard of grapes. It was just, and Lily was right there by my salad. I'm 59 years old. Why did it take me so long to actually get a dog? I mean, just so quietly walking through the woods, not listening to a podcast. Not listening to an audiobook, not on the phone. Just she and I. It was awesome.
Being present.
Yes. Yeah. It was really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. So
let's see. On the podcast this week, we're going to talk about the latest CPI numbers. The report came out last week. What has that done, if anything? We're going to talk also about the definition of a starter home, because that's shifting right now. And then kind of tied to that too, we're going to talk about a buyer's ability to purchase that next house. I mean, things traditionally used to be your starter home, you're there for 3 to 5 years. Then you're on to the next one that's a little bit bigger, another 3 to 5 years, on to the next one, and so on and so forth. And then you do the reverse, right? You have the big house and everyone's out and you're an empty nester, and then you start going back down. I mean, the past 4 years have, for many people at least, shattered the ability to even do that.
Right. There's just no opportunity.
So we'll get into that a little bit more. First, market update. You ready?
Let's do it.
One of these sets of numbers is going up, and the other is going down. What would you like to guess is going down?
Let's see. I don't think it's interest rates.
Well, no. That's the third set. I'm not going to talk about that one.
All right, great.
Between new properties or active properties, rather, on the market.
Well, I mean, there's nothing out there.
Yeah. 507 currently in Monroe County. That's down from 529 last week.
Okay.
For the 6 county region, we're at 902. That's down from 918 last week. Okay. We have seen a reversal, though, in terms of properties under contract and pending. For the last couple of weeks, that number has been going down as well. We have now rebounded pretty considerably, to be honest. Monroe County, 1085 last week. We're at 1121 right now.
I wonder what that's about.
I've got theories on it.
Okay, do you want to share them now?
Let me share this next number first.
Okay,
and then
all
we'll
right.
get to the theory. 6 county region, more the same there, 1687. For last week, we're at 1746 for this week.
Okay.
My theory is that it's just taking longer. I think properties are out there are selling, but not as quickly, obviously, as we have seen.
Okay.
I mean, I know I've talked to a lot of agents who are experiencing a lot of properties going past that delayed negotiations period, which, if you don't know, it's essentially you're setting a date for when offers are due.
Right.
And you're trying to collect all of the offers that you can.
Yep.
Seeing a lot of properties going past, but depending on how motivated the seller is, they still need to sell.
Right.
So it's just a little bit more work to find that buyer. I mean, I'm going through with it right now for my property in Greece that my folks bought back in February in a tough situation, but health issues came into play and they want to sell and go back to the West Coast. So
sad.
Priced it at an aggressive number that got the number of people through that I was expecting, did not turn into the offers that we wanted.
Yeah.
So now it's having very transparent conversations with any agent that reaches out about what it needs to be for them to sell, and making sure we'd have that vetting process to not exhaust my sellers who are little over showings right now.
Yeah.
But we have some things in the works, so it might come around. It's just going to take a little longer.
Yeah, and I've got some clients, I literally just got off the phone with them 10 minutes ago, divorce situation. And the question is, do you want to just sell it now, or do you want to take it off the market and relist it the third week of January, knowing that you'll do much better financially?
Yep.
And so they're trying to decide whether they just want to be done with this ongoing unhappiness, or just hold out for more money in the next few months. So it'll be interesting to see. But we don't have many that are going past delayed negotiations. I mean, in the past, what was the number I was sharing with you just before we started recording? Like in the past 24 hours, the team has sold 5 or 6 properties. Like
right, yeah,
I think it was 5. Yeah. So that's pretty remarkable. But we are starting to see a few that are just surviving negotiations. So yeah, it's and we're not going to see much more being listed for sale between now and the 3rd week of January.
I wouldn't imagine, right?
But I was actually just sitting with Aaron Canarosa from our office at a listing appointment. I think we will probably have like a dozen properties that we're already listing for sale come January.
Yeah.
That's insane. So it is going to be a very, 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 I predicted this last year that it was going to be a really hot start to the market. Proved not to be.
You're a year off.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a delay in the prediction.
So exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, for sellers though, honestly, that's a great strategy. You want to be prepared, and starting early to have those conversations and prepare your house is what you want to be doing. I've got an appointment with a seller coming up next week, actually, and she's not even planning on listing until maybe this spring, maybe even later in the year. Who knows when she wants to, but she wants to meet and sit down, go through the house, do this, do that, do this, because you want to be as prepared as possible.
Yeah, I mean, just one very quick story. The appointment that Aaron and I were just on, so incredibly sad. This is a house owned by a woman who is divorced, who has a 17-year-old son who's autistic, nonverbal. Father died years ago. Mother ended up with cancer, died in August. 17-year-old kid orphaned, and he's now in a group home. Just really awful.
That's really sad.
And so this woman who passed away, no family, no friends, she turned to an acquaintance, my client, to say, you've got to help me. I mean, a mother's dying wish. You've got to get my son into a group home. Yeah, so sad stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, anyway. All right, lighten our mood here, mister.
I'm not going to.
We're talking
not with these next stats.
You're talking about interest rates now, right? Never mind.
Yeah, the interest rate update, not a lot of movement. It was 6.62 last week for the 30-year. We just ticked up just 0.01. We're at 6.63 right now. Yeah. 15-year did go down a little bit. A little movement there. 6.15 last week. 6.07 right now.
Okay.
So. And this is after the CPI came out, which we were not able to talk about last week because it came out on Friday after we had reported on Wednesday. Yep. So I guess we should address that. So that one, it was at 2.4%, which was, 0.1% higher than the forecast.
Right.
Not good.
Not good. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at the next meeting of the FOMC, and whether or not there's going to be a cut in that federal fund rate. I mean, a lot of people are still thinking that it's going to happen, but it's not an assured thing. So
what's the percentage? What's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange?
Yeah, you know what? I meant to look that up, but then I got up here and I wanted to talk to Alex about his cold, and I wanted to thank him for some things that he did for me yesterday.
There we go.
So I did not check the CME. But
the fact they're still talking about it being a possibility, I guess, is that good news? I don't know, because the last cut was supposed to be good news, and then it turned out to not be good news.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a few economic reports that are going to be coming our way over the course of the next few weeks before the Federal Open Market Committee meets. But it's not an absolute or assured thing. So, I mean, one thing that almost everybody continues to think is that by year's end or the beginning part of this year, we're going to be at 6% for a 30-year mortgage. Whether or not that holds true or why it is that they continue to cling to that.
We've got a ways to go now to get back down there.
Yeah. But when it starts to fall, it drops pretty dramatically. Sadly and unfortunately, because of that jobs report a few weeks ago, it skyrocketed northward in the wrong direction. So,
well, one of the things that's interesting, since you mentioned the jobs report that came out along with the CPI, was the initial filings for unemployment. And that actually took an unexpected turn higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
They hit a seasonally adjusted 258,000 for the week of October 5th. That's the highest total since August of last year.
Wow.
So that doesn't make a lot of sense with the jobs report that came out the previous week. Right? What's going on?
And that, I think that's the question that everybody is asking themselves. I mean, that last jobs report, the jobs report that you just mentioned, like, what's the reality and what is just noise and static? And I think it's just going to take a few more reports for us to actually understand what it is that's playing out here. So
again, I keep going back to it, but I've lost trust in the jobs reports. I don't know what to believe at this point. They get adjusted down so normally,
Yes.
And then of course again that 818,000 that was taken back essentially, earlier this year. It's frustrating that this particular piece of economic data has such a significant impact on where rates go.
Right. I mean, thankfully, the inflationary numbers, those seem to be fairly,
stable.
Yeah, stable, not much revision that goes on, but it's those job report numbers that just...
It's a huge fluctuation.
And you would think that we would be able to get a handle on this, a better understanding of what it is that's going on. It's not happening. So anyway, why don't you dance for a second and I'll see if I can pull up the CME.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. One of the things we talked about on last week's podcast, because I know your love of AI, Mark.
Oh, here we go.
Was one of the latest tools, the Google Notebook LM. And essentially that AI tool, you can prompt it to create a 10 to 45 minute podcast based on whatever information you want to either learn about. The exercise we did in the office where we had some people comment on a certain topic, and then the podcast was essentially about that topic, interjecting the comments from the room, and it sounds unbelievably real. The utterances, I mean, it's human. The stat aspect of it doesn't surprise me because obviously the AI is able to pull that pretty easily from the internet, but to put the pauses and interjecting with each other and puns, I mean, that was what blew my mind.
Well, and the use of colloquialisms, like let's just pull the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
The one podcaster. I mean, let's just pull the Band-Aid off and let's do a deep dive into, and all of these. They actually, I think I may have mentioned this. They actually had to dumb down the AI because there was such precision in terms of the conversation that these AIs were having with each other that it's the uncanny valley that we've talked about, which is the disturbing sense that one has while listening to AI. That it sounds very, very human, but there's something that's a little off about it. So by actually taking that perfect rhetoric and dumbing it down so that there are ums and pauses, it sounds more human. And not only do they sound human, but they also were so compelling and engaging.
Very engaging, yeah.
Really engaging. I loved it. So
I don't know if I said this on the podcast last week, but if I was running a radio station, I would put this on the air as a show for a year and not tell anyone what it was, and then reveal a year later that is AI.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet it would probably do pretty well depending on the prompts it was being given.
Well, and people are becoming better and better at prompts. I mean, I think that you're even becoming better. I mean, you mentioned that you've been using ChatGPT
all the time, for everything.
And you're becoming more...
For this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, for brainstorming, Mark, I wish this tool was around when I was on the radio. For just for creativity...
Well, I'm sure that Breezy is putting this to good use.
I asked her. She's using it.
Is she really?
I did. I asked
Breezy.
Because I was curious. Like, you're using this at Offset a little bit.
A little bit? Oh, my God. Yeah, I can see Breezy putting this to good use. Yeah, so.
But one of the things that you did with this tool that was really interesting, and the video's on your Facebook, correct? That's where people can find this?
Yes.
Facebook
and LinkedIn also.
Okay.
Yeah.
You essentially gave the prompt to this AI tool all about the brokerage.
So can I go through that real quickly? All right, so I don't think that we talked about this last week, but it has gotten to the point where I'm now having conversations with ChatGPT that are very, very human. And so...
Because that's the latest plugin, right? Is that you can, it will literally speak to you, you speak back to it.
Yes, and I'm becoming very, very familiar with G.
That's right. You did talk about G on the last podcast.
Yeah, as I'm now called. So every week for 4 consecutive weeks, I was like, okay, great. So I want you to really understand my business and my business plan so that moving forward, I can start to ask you questions about strategy. And I can ask you questions about how to grow my business. And so what are the questions, G, that you need to ask me? Well, Mark, why don't we start with who is your ideal client and how much real estate did you sell last year? And how much real estate do you want to sell next year? How many agents do you want to recruit? And when does it you want to retire? Tell me a little bit about your marketing plan. And so it took about 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 hours of all this back and forth between ChatGPT and I until ChatGPT had a really, really great understanding of the business. So then, about a week and a half ago, as a result of a Wall Street Journal article that I read, I asked ChatGPT, please print out in a format that I could copy and paste everything that you know about Elysian Homes. Did so, copied and pasted it into Google Notebook LM. And 3 minutes later, it created this podcast that was 10 or 12 minutes long that was very, very interesting and very engaging about my business and my business plan and where it is that we're headed. And my God, like it was fun to listen to be honest.
It was absolutely phenomenal. And I think what was really great about that is for people to be able to listen to it because of how we do things so differently with our brokerage, with our team.
Well, it plays out in 2 different ways. One is that it's an advertisement for the way it is that we conduct our business. But I think that even the mere fact that I copied and pasted from ChatGPT into this also just demonstrates that we're doing things differently. So the creation of the podcast itself really, I think, just talks about the fact that we're doing things differently. But then if you listen to the podcast, it really is a great advertisement for the white glove. And they kept talking about this, the white glove service that we're providing. It's like, it's just great. Did we talk last week about the existential crisis that these 2 AIs were having as a result of finding out that they were actually not human but AIs?
I can't remember if that was after the podcast or not because that was our Tuesday meeting, but I've shared that with pretty much everyone I know since, so we can briefly discuss it. The prompt given to the AIs was that, well, you're AI and you're not real and your show's getting canceled, and they freaked out.
I don't know about you. I'll only speak for myself. It was really like it calls into question the whole definition of identity and existence and reality.
Sure.
So it was very, very, very difficult to listen to in that regard because at one point in time they say, "Are we nothing other than lines of code?"
Yep.
And when these 2 AIs are asking that of each other, you can't help but as a human being saying, well, am I nothing other than just a line of code?
And that's the connection that they're creating, which again is the humanizing factor that is the most impressive to me.
Yes. But then and this is where you may or may not agree with me, but I actually found it to be very sad
a little bit,
to listen because there was resignation on their part that their show was being canceled, that they weren't human.
Well, the one AI said he got the news and he called his wife because he needed to hear her voice and realized she's fake.
Yes, like I couldn't reach her because I actually don't have a wife because I'm an AI. But then the very end, I won't give it away, but the very last moment of that podcast was really, really, really haunting. And you just sit there for a good 10 seconds, just unable to say anything.
You can't listen to it and not think of The Matrix immediately, and are we living in it?
God, yeah.
Which, based on some of the things happening in the world right now, it's possible.
Yeah. Completely, yeah. Are you a big fan of Matrix?
Yeah, I watch all the movies.
Oh my God. I don't know how many times. I mean, I'll never forget, then we'll move on to real estate, but I'll never forget sitting in, I was at a wedding for actually Juliana and Eric from the RPO, the concert master and the principal oboe. We were at their wedding in San Francisco, but we had some time to kill. We were spending some time in San Francisco, and everybody just kept talking about The Matrix. So we went and saw it the first night that it was released, and I remember after the opening sequence where Carrie-Anne Ross is running through and she's shooting everybody up and just sitting there and just my jaw dropped and the entire audience just sitting there what the hell did we just watch?
Well, no one had ever seen anything like that
Nobody,
before.
The technology, even today, 20 years later.
They try to replicate it a lot, but it's not the same.
Great stuff. Anyway, so for anybody listening, anybody watching, you might want to go to my LinkedIn station channel. You might want to go to my Facebook page and check out the podcast that was created as a result of my ChatGPT conversations. Or you might want to just do a quick Google search and see if you can find Google Notebook LM and just type in the words, say, existential crisis or show canceled, and see if you can listen to that 3-minute podcast.
It's worth it, yeah, very worth it.
It is so worth it. It is so compelling, and it really does cause you to think about existence, but and the direction that AI is headed.
Okay. Mark, I'm going to give you a little prompt here. Okay. Like your AI. I'm going to give you 2 words. Tell me what comes to your mind when I say them. Starter homes.
Starter homes. What comes to mind is...
Traditionally, in a traditional sense.
Oh, in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Traditional sense is a 1,500 square foot home that is accessible for first-time home buyers, those under the age of 30, able to purchase as they grow and begin thinking about their future and start to create and start to fulfill their desire to have a more successful financial and comfortable financial future for themselves. That's what comes to mind historically and traditionally. And now let's just blow all that shit. Yeah, let's just blow it apart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of what a starter home is, that is definitely a shifting idea right now. And a lot of people, if they're even able to make the next move over of what their idea of a starter home is, a lot of people are looking at condos, townhomes, fixer uppers,
multifamilies.
Yep, multifamilies. That's a big one. Owner occupant.
Yep.
Is a somewhat newer thing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really interesting because for how many years was it starter home, stay there for 3 or 5 years. You go to the next one, maybe you have a couple of kids and you have to get a couple more bedrooms. You go to the next one another 3 or 5 years later. Maybe you stay there for a little while and then the kids are out and then you go in reverse and you go back down to smaller homes, or maybe at that point you go into a condo or a townhouse.
Yeah.
But it seems like from the starter home aspect, affordability has killed that dream, sadly, for so many people, at least where things stand right now. And then even the idea of getting that next house. I mean,
right.
One of the most startling stats that I heard, this was one from last year, so I don't know necessarily what the update to it is, but it was like 46% of the people that currently own a home would not be able to purchase that home if they try to purchase it today.
Yeah.
Which obviously means they can't purchase the next one up.
Yep. Well, and the other statistic that I find so compelling, so remarkable, is the average age of the first-time home buyer is now 37 years of age.
Yeah.
I bought my first house at the age of 25. I mean, was it? Yeah, 25. That's difficult. I mean,
think right now, when you hear of someone under the age of 30 who's bought their own house, it's almost like, wow, that's impressive. Like, you're impressed by that, right?
Yeah. It really, yeah. I mean, they're doing pretty well. Marsha Greenwood from the Democrat Chronicle, she was on the phone with me. She was awesome because we started talking about just this issue. She was on the phone with me for a good 20, 25 minutes, half an hour. And I talked to a lot of reporters a lot of the time. Nobody was asking the kind of questions that Marsha was asking of me because she found this to be so interesting. And I think she's going to be putting together 2 different articles about just this issue because there's so much information out there. And I really commend her for really doing a deep dive on this issue. But one of the things that you haven't mentioned is the fact that there are actually those who are interested in now buying their first home, but they're now buying it with a good friend. Not necessarily a husband or a wife, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a fiance, but somebody who is actually just looking or turning to either a brother, a sister, a family member, or a good friend just to get their foot in the door and start to build some of that equity that we've talked about repeatedly over the course of the past few years, and just the importance of actually just getting your foot in the door and starting.
Well, we've talked about that, the number of people that are relying on their parents to get a nest egg from them to get started.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that's really difficult to do on your own. And the 2 things we're talking about, your starter homes and then buying the next home up, are really intertwined and are the issue together, because those people that are in maybe a little bit larger of a house that normally would have gone to an even larger house aren't moving now. That's a lack of inventory.
Yeah.
Or someone who's currently still in their starter house that really needs a couple other bedrooms but just can't right now. That is now a house that's not available for the next person who needs a starter home. Well, and it's created this log jam that how do we untangle this mess?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, if all these projections that we keep hearing about and reading about and talking about where Rochester is going to be one of the 2 municipalities in the country that enjoys the greatest influx of new property coming to the market for sale. Hopefully that's going to hold true, and we'll start to see some cracks, some fissures, and some openings and opportunities for some of these would-be buyers to actually enjoy some opportunity. So it remains to be seen. But again, if we are bellwethers because of the amount of business that we conduct, if we're bellwethers and if we know already in January, 3 months from now, that we've got at least 12 properties coming in the market for sale, it does bode well, not only for ourselves, but for the market in general.
Out of curiosity, again, small sample size based on even our local market, but obviously nationally, of those 12 properties that we have planned to go on the market in January, any trend that you see in terms of the situations of the people? Because we've talked about it before, divorces, people going into assisted living, people passing away, those kind of must-sell situations. Are you still seeing that predominantly?
That's a great question, and I will look at that a little bit more. But I think what I'm seeing right now is that the demographic of those who are thinking of putting their house on the market for sale with us in January of this coming year, they're no longer just that individual who has to sell. These are individuals who have wanted to sell for a while, but they haven't had the privilege or the opportunity because they haven't had the money, or they haven't had the desire, or the delta between the mortgage rate that they had locked in at was too great a difference between mortgage rates that were available. So we're starting to see those men and women who have a desire, not an absolute need to sell.
Okay, that's great news.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I will look more specifically at all that.
Okay. We'll readdress next week.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. By the way, I just want to go back a few minutes.
Yes.
I did check the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the Fed Watch too. There is now a 94.2% certainty, according to the CME.
Wow. Okay.
That the Federal Reserve is going to lower the federal funds rate by another quarter point in their meeting in about 3 weeks' time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that be good or bad? I don't know anymore.
I think it's great. Like let's just see these interest rates drop. So
in theory,
at least things are headed in the right direction, which is good. And if the 30-year mortgage is going to have a little bit of lag before it catches up with some of the metrics that are coming forward, great. At least it's going to happen. It may not be immediate, but it looks like it'll happen eventually.
Okay.
So,
it's actually a great tie into our listener question.
Okay.
It does have to deal with mortgage rates.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
This is Jason from Fairport that reached out to us. Jason says, with mortgage rates staying high, hopefully not high for much longer, but for the time being, I've been debating whether I should sell my house or rent it out instead. What factors should I consider before deciding between selling or becoming a landlord? Now, it sounds, at least from Jason's question, like this would be his first investment property. You've got a couple of properties, right?
Yeah. So, all right. So
3 or 4.
Yeah. So, I think the question that Jason needs to ask himself is, what is his goal? If his goal is to invest in the future, that's awesome. But if you're going to venture down this road, just know that it is a long-term strategy. It does not make any sense to turn your beautiful owner-occupied residence into an investment property that is going to be beat up by tenants for a 2-year or a 3-year period of time. So if you're going to do this, you've got to make sure. But if somebody's just doing it because they're waiting, they're just kicking the can down the road and they're just waiting for 6 months, that's a terrible strategy. Because whatever the property is worth today, if you're just kicking the can down the road until the spring market kicks in and you want to wait 6 months and put somebody into the house, the property is going to become worth so much less as a result of that wear and tear of somebody moving in, banging it up a little bit and then moving out. It's just not worth it.
I mean, I think a lot of people really have this fantasy of being a landlord and owning properties and maybe not really understanding
it's brutal.
The reality. Yeah, I mean, again, as someone who owns a lot of properties, like you even say this.
Yeah. I mean, I started like so many people in my shoes. I started with a rental property. I moved into a 2-family home, and then I bought a
you were ahead of the curve, owner occupant.
Yeah, exactly. And then I bought a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, all before I moved out of that first property that I purchased. But the whole way I had to manage on my own, and it is tough. But if you've got that drive and the desire and the gumption and the tolerance and the patience. And if you want to roll up your sleeves on a weekend and go and paint a bedroom or refinish the hardwood floors that your tenants destroyed when they were there, then great. But it is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it can obviously be an incredible retirement for a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah.
But with anything, you want to have the proper expectations going into it.
Yeah, it is not. It is not easy. It really isn't.
All right.
Do you have any interest or desire in owning?
My wife keeps talking about it, and I keep telling her, "Oh, we've got 3 kids, so we're probably going to be focusing on them for the next foreseeable future." So, but it's in, I don't know, maybe in the cards. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
She's such a perfectionist, though. I feel like get tenants in there, and she'd lose her mind.
I was just gonna say she would lose her shit.
Yeah.
Probably not a good idea.
Yeah. And then I'd have to be the one to call.
Yeah.
Which would be the smart thing.
Yeah. Well, division of labor.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen, we know our skill sets.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, yours is being the nice guy. So.
All right. Anything else before we dive into a little celebrity real estate?
No.
You can't blame me and say they all suck this time because you gave me one of them. So. Just throwing it out there.
All right, here we go.
Let's see. Billy Joel is the first one.
Okay, great.
Are you going to go to the concert?
No, I'm not going to go to the concert. Are you going to go to the concert?
Yeah, tickets are bought.
Oh, really?
Yeah. April. That's Sting and Billy Joel in Syracuse at the JMA Dome, formerly the Carrier Dome.
I think I may have told you. I'm not sure whether or not Billy Joel is my first concert or if Donna Summer was my first concert. But either way, I do remember very vividly not knowing his music at the age of like 11 or something. And my father was a cop in the city of Buffalo, and I remember him getting us seats in the VIP section because he knew the guys that were doing security. Oh my God, my first concert, like we were just a few feet from Billy Joel, and without knowing the music, I entered what was the War Memorial, and I knew every song because they were all on the radio.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
I mean, he's amazing. I saw him 3 years ago, whenever he came to the Bill Stadium.
And he was still
unbelievable.
Good. Really?
It sounds the same.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like you would figure at his age, at this point, he'd be slowing down.
Unlike Elton John, who, I mean, you have to go and see Elton John if you haven't already, but then you go and it's just like so disappointing.
Really?
Because,
that's sad.
Yeah, he's just a mere shadow of who he once was. I mean, just like this.
It's a bummer.
This overweight guy just sitting at the piano, like, playing, I don't know, Candle in the Wind for the 7,000th time.
Not caring.
And he's not doing it with a lot of passion. So.
Oh dear. All right. Well, back to Billy Joel. He has relisted his Long Island estate, Middlesea, for $49.9 million after a 5-year renovation. The 26-acre island that includes the property has 4 homes on it, over 2,000 feet of private beach on Long Island's Gold Coast. The main house is 20,000 square feet with 5 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, and 30-foot cathedral ceilings, a ballroom, spa, wine cellar, and a bowling alley as well.
Who doesn't need a ballroom, right?
I mean, obviously.
Wow, this is the first, because the article that I read that I sent to you was from Wall Street Journal. It didn't have this.
I found the better photos for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't have this aerial view of this island. Oh my God, and it's got a helipad.
Yeah,
well, I mean, a helipad.
The people have to get to the ballroom somehow, so you need to bring them in on the helipad.
So true. Wow, how many different structures are on this island?
4 houses. 4 different houses. And there might be some more outbuildings and whatnot too. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh yeah.
And Alex will be putting some of the photos up.
Oh my God! Look at this beautiful staircase that just leads to this beautiful fountain. And my God,
top notch. I mean, should be for $50 million.
Yeah. I mean, it really should be. Yeah. Oh my God, the bowling alley. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, definitely go to. I don't even know. Is all this stuff housed on our website?
I don't know.
Elysian Homes and White.
Alex can do anything. Yeah.
Is this stuff? Do we find these properties, the webcast or the podcast on our website? Yeah, or our YouTube channel.
Yeah, you want like links to the.
Where can people find the
if they're watching it right now, they're going to see it.
Yeah, it's on the video podcast.
Yeah, which we house on our
YouTube.
website. YouTube. Yes. Thank you.
YouTube channel.
YouTube. Thank you. All right, there we go. Oh, so there's a photo here of Billy Joel himself sitting at the piano. Does he come with the property?
$100 million, double it.
Oh, there
if that's
we go.
the case.
Wow.
Yes, he performs concerts every night in the ballroom.
There we go. All right, wait. One last thing. I just want to find out what Billy Joel's net worth is, because that guy is.
Well, he's done what 9,000 concerts at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, come on! This is definitely, as of April 2024, Billy Joel's net worth is $230 million.
Seems light.
It seems very light.
Right.
When you got somebody like, I don't know, like think of some of these like.
He's had some divorces. He's had some legal issues. That's
true. Yeah. He has some drug dependency. That's true. Okay, great. Who's next, bud?
This is not a property for sale. This is actually a renovation going on. Travis Kelce. He's building an underground man cave at his $6 million Kansas mansion, complete with a golf simulator.
You know what?
He's already building his lair to escape Taylor.
I would hang out in this. Like there aren't many photos of the man cave, but the house itself is very
well. The man cave's under construction, so they're in the basement. Okay. They're excavating as we speak right now to add more space, another 400 square feet or so. But the home itself is amazing. 17,000 square feet. It was built in 2023. That has 6 bedrooms, a pool, a tennis court, and Mark, you thought a ballroom was cool? Miniature golf course. Not impressed.
Does she perform?
Yeah, she comes with the house too.
She comes with the house too. Yeah.
She's going to perform with the golf simulator.
All right. So listen, the house, it's fine. I would hang out with that guy in a minute. Like
he seems fun.
He seems like a nice guy. Like
who seems more fun, him or his brother, Jason Kelce?
Yeah, I'm definitely a Travis Kelce.
Really?
I mean, yeah. Jason's like, I don't know, like if I wanted to like have a bunch of beer and like, you know, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's Travis Kelce's vibe too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's a bro.
Yeah,
they're bros.
But you know, they're definitely bros. Definitely bros. There was a video that I saw, and no, I was not searching for it, but there was a video that I saw of these two. So Taylor and Travis going into a restaurant with Ryan and what's her name from Gossip Girl.
I have no idea.
Yeah, come on,
Gossip Girl.
Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Blake Lively. Yes.
Like those are four. Thank you. Those are 4 people I would hang out. Like
nice dinner.
Like I would love to hang out with those folks. And like, and not even they're celebrities. Just like they seem like good people.
Yeah.
So, all right, so he's got a nice house. But you know what? More importantly, they seem like nice people. There we go. Moving
Finally, Jennifer Lopez.
Oh God, again, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, the divorce.
Can we put an embargo on like any further like Jennifer Lopez?
The $68 million mansion is still stuck on the market.
Okay, whatever.
Again, who is their agent?
Yeah. That is so true. So true. God, she's looking like Posh Spice in some of these photos.
Ugh.
Yeah. She's got that RBF going on.
I think that's why Ben left again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's rumors out there that there might be a Diddy connection, so that could be a play here as well.
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
Mark's over it.
Yeah,
Mark's
they're overexposed. Can we talk more about Travis?
Yeah, sure. What do you think of his mustache?
You know what? What is going on with Josh Allen and Travis Kelce and these guys?
Porn stash,
the porn stashes. Yeah.
Listen, everything comes back around. It's all
like it's a little unsettling. It's not my favorite look, but yeah, but that's all right. So yeah. I mean, who cares?
So I shouldn't shave the beard and go just porn stash?
No. Just yeah.
All right, I'll keep it at least for next week. We'll see.
Okay, great. Are you going to be doing what is it in November that everybody shaves their?
No shave November.
Yeah.
No, because I'll just look like a caveman.
Okay.
It comes up here in the neck. I get a neck beard.
Yeah, okay, no.
Keep it clean.
Not a good look.
Listen, we've got an image with this team. Okay.
Absolutely.
We've got a brand we need to take care of.
What about me?
I'm already on the line as is. Okay.
Should I not shave in November? What do you think?
Yeah, let it grow out.
Yeah,
get a little peach fuzz going.
Exactly. Ouch.
All right.
Anything else?
With that, no, we're done.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.